Hey, what's going on, guys? So we're back here with another new Humidor editions, and I think I got a good one for you guys. That said, we're not going to waste too much time. We're going to get right into it. So first up, we have the Paul Garmirian Gourmet Series in Connoisseur. So the Connoisseur is a 6x52 Toro, and the Gourmet Series consists of an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrapper over Dominican binder and Dominican filler. Now, typically, that seems like a pretty straightforward mom and pop, plain Jane kind of recipe, right? Ecuadorian Connecticut shade, Dominican binder, Dominican filler. Not offensive and not super flavorful, right? Well, that doesn't quite apply to these. But what I will say is that what does separate Paul Garmirian cigars from the myriad of other cigars that will have a very similar recipe and similar sounding profile is Paul Garmirian Cigars' commitment to aging. The average box age, the average post-roll age of a box of Paul Garmirian, or PG as we'll refer to them for the rest of this video, cigars is 5 years. 5 years of post-roll box aging. So they will take already generously aged, high quality Dominican tobacco, and then they will roll their cigars, and then they will age those in box for 5 years before they ever get shipped out to the retailers, right? So that's what intrigued me when I came across this brand, because up until very recently, this was a very obscure brand, at least from my perspective. It just wasn't one that I was very familiar with. I had seen it around, especially online when I was doing other cigar shopping, but I never really thought too much of the brand to really look into them. But I was doing some research, which is generally how I figure out what I'm going to smoke next. And I came across PG, looked into them, was intrigued by what I read, and decided to grab some. I grabbed this particular box here over at Jack Schwartz Importers over in Chicago. This box cost $370. The average price of the cigar in here, I believe, was right around 16 bucks. For what you get, it's very solid. So as you can see, everything's branded PG. And here we have our 6x52 Toro cigar. I'll take one out of the package for you guys. So, one thing I noticed about PG cigars is their quality. The construction quality on these is solid. Feels great in the hand. The leaf feels silky smooth. There's no soft spots. But one thing I did notice is it seemed like there was some variation in their color grading and just general aesthetic of the wrapper leaf. Some of them aren't a uniform brown color. Even on this one, you could see it's a little bumpy, it's a little splotchy. There's some veins here and there, but overall, these are superbly rolled and they burn phenomenally. The vibe I get from PG is very Davidoff-like in terms of the way that they present themselves, present their cigars, and even in some of the flavor profile. I will say I tried one of these the day they came in because it tested out pretty well on Humidimeter. Flavors seemed very muted. I gave one about 4 days rest and about a day and a half of dry boxing. That would be the cigar that I actually did one of my most recent cigar reviews on, so go check that out. And it performed well it actually performed exceptionally for about the first 2 inches. It tasted great. There was nuts, there was honey, there was some florality, there was a lot of citrus. It was great. And then those flavors just progressively got weaker and weaker and weaker. And as I got down to the final third, I mean, it was almost non-existent. The cigar was pretty much just wood, cream, and tobacco, which wasn't bad. The cigar didn't do poorly. It did actually very well. But I'm hoping that with significant amounts of rest and a decent amount of dry boxing, that it can hang on to those intense flavors a little bit longer. And if it can, this cigar is going to be very special. Okay, guys, so next up, we have a cigar that's been on the channel before and has recently become one of my favorite Connecticut cigars ever. We have the Sober Mesa Brulee Blue by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. I don't think I've smoked a single Steve Saka blend that I didn't at least enjoy. But these are amazing, without question. You guys know I did my top 5 Connecticut's list last year. And you have a good handle on some of my favorites, the Byron Elegantes, the Zeno Platinum Scepter series and Grandmaster, the Lampert Limitada 2021. But these have quickly worked their way up in terms of my list of favorite Connecticut's. I might legitimately have to put these in the top 5. I'm gonna have to do some soul searching and do some thinking and revise that list and see exactly where these fit in, but these are phenomenal. I'm not gonna get too heavy into these because again, I've done these on the channel before. But the Sober Mesa Brulee Blue is a 6 1/4 by 46 ring gauge Grand Corona. It sports an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrapper over Mexican binder and Nicaraguan filler. This cigar is super flavorful. I get lots of vanilla, lots of cream, a little bit of nuts, a ton of Davidoff-esque mushroomy, umami type flavor, and these just hit right every time. So I picked up these 3 5-packs from Cigar Page. Cigar Page doesn't always have the Brulee Blue in. In fact, I would say more often than not, they're sold out of it, and probably for good reason. It's a very limited cigar, and it's also a very, very good cigar, very, very popular cigar. But I picked up these 3 5-packs, $65 a piece. And there was some store credit that I had from a box of Placencias I bought very recently. I ended up checking out at $163 shipped. And they made sure that they shipped these with Boveda packs. Every single bag has its individual Boveda pack. So good job, Cigar Page, for that. But considering the fact that a box of the Sober Mesa Brulee Blues is 13 cigars, and at full retail you're looking at $230, $235. Most places that's in the habit, if you know where to shop, you're going to pay somewhere between $210 and $180. Then getting 15 as opposed to 13 and getting them for $163 as opposed to at the low end $180 and at the high end $235. I think I definitely made out. All right, so moving on. We have a box of the Warped Isla del Cocodrilos. So this is another cigar that has been on the channel before. I picked up a 5-pack from Small Batch, I believe, either late spring or early summer, and really loved it. So I picked up another 5-pack, and ever since then I've been meaning to grab a box. But I was so busy buying other things that I never really got around to buying a box. It just didn't seem worth it giving everything else that I had going on. And that is until very recently. So I was on Cigar Page on one of their promo deals. And I was scrolling down and just looking, browsing, perusing. And I just so happened to see the Warped Isla del Cocodrilo in both the Toro and the Corona Gorda. Now, what makes that so special is the fact that if you understand how Cigar Page's website works, and you go to cigars and you go on brands and then it shows you all the blends that they have for the brands, it's not listed under Warped's. The Cocodrilo isn't listed under Warped. Now, sometimes what will happen is you have to search for things directly if they're on the website in the inventory, but not listed underneath their brand. But if you look up the Warped Isla del Cocodrilo, it also doesn't show up at all. The only place that these Warped Isla del Cocodrilos showed up at all on the website is in that email promo. Now, the way their promos work is certain promos you will only get access to if you have an account with them and you receive their emails. They will send you a link, and the link will take you to a special page that you can only get to through that link. And these happen to be on there. And the craziest part is the price. This whole box, this full box of Warped Isla del Cocodrilo in the 6x52 Toro happened to cost me $120. Actually, $119. And free shipping. That's insane. Like, nobody's beating that price. And I see these, I've seen these cheap at a few places now, but this particular price is just insane. Couldn't pass it up. Didn't plan on buying them, but for that price, had to buy them. So here we are. We have the Warped Isla del Cocodrilo. I'm not going to take any of these out of the package. You guys, again, have seen these before. I even have a review on them. And this box is going to stay chilling for quite a while because I still have, I think 7 in the collection that are just chilling, 7 or 8. So absolutely love this cigar and love it in this size. I'm a big fan of Warped and Cowgellis. Again, I don't think he's another guy whose blends I have yet to be failed by. I will say I wasn't super impressed with the La Colmena 10th anniversary that I smoked recently. But to be fair, that cigar didn't get any real dry box time. And most of what I didn't like about it seemed like it was going to come down to the cigar being potentially over humidified. So, the flavors were there, and the ones that were there were pleasant, but they were very muted. And I had to constantly touch up the burn, relight it, etc. I don't want to blame that cigar just yet, so I got one dry boxing, and I'll revisit that probably in a few weeks and see if whether or not that was a fluke. So that's the Warped Isla del Cocodrilo. All right, guys, last but not least, certainly not least, we have here a bundle, a 25 count bundle of the Sanj Patel gas station sushi in 7x48 Churchill. So, again, people who aren't new to my channel know that I absolutely love Sanj Patel. I keep a lot of his blends around. I keep a lot of his sticks around. The SP1014 Red, the SP1014 Black, the RS88 Deluxe Connecticut, RS88 Deluxe Habano, RS88 Deluxe Maduro. I'm a huge fan of Sanj Patel and his blends. The SP1014 Silver, the SP1014 Charisma, and the SP1014 Entre all are in my collection. They all make an appearance. And I have yet to be disappointed by any of his blends. So when I had the opportunity to buy this 25 pack bundle for $78 recently, they had a special. I believe it was called Patty's Special. And it was in honor of, I guess, one of Sanj's patrons who's pretty well known in his spot or whatever the case is. I don't know what happened. Not going to speculate. Not my business. But I do know that in honor of that person, for a little while, they had the gas station sushi in all sizes and blends because there are Maduro versions. This is the Habano. They had these up at significantly reduced price. So these are already a fairly affordable smoke. And that's one thing I love about Sanj Patel. Even his upper tier echelon elite blends, I don't think they're any more than at the most like 13, 14 bucks. And like that's on the super high end. And what you're getting out of the reds and the blacks for $9 or $10 is insane. You have cigars that cost twice as much and don't deliver that level of smoking experience and don't deliver that level of quality and construction. And the people that he has blending with him. I believe Chico Rivas blended the SP1014 Red with Sanj, and Eladio Diaz, who's blended several of Sanj's blends, blended the Black and the Entre. And it shows. I mean, if you don't know who Eladio Diaz is, I don't know why you're watching this video, but please go and Google who Eladio Diaz is. So to have that man blending and to have access to the tobacco Sanj has access to, and to have the cigars that he has being rolled with the quality. I mean, I'm not going to take these out of the bundle just yet, but you can even see through the bundle. Like these, when you actually average out what this bundle costs, these are $3 sticks. And the regular price isn't much crazier. You're talking like $5.50 on average. I think a bundle of these regularly costs like $137.50, and it's well worth it. I can promise you, all of Sanj's blends are. But The tobaccos that he's giving you, the experiences that he's giving you, the blenders that he's using, and the charge what he's charging is chef's kiss, bro. Chef's kiss, because that is everything that is missing in the broader cigar market now, with everybody just trying to flip a profit. But yeah, so per the usual, thank you for watching, thank you for supporting, and as always, more content to come.